Buongiorno amici di Passion for Fun, siamo qui al primo giorno di Etna Comics con il grande, il magnifico Rick Leonardi. Grazie. Thank you master for accepting our invitation.
Grazie a lei.
Fumettista americano che ha lavorato per diverse serie sia per Marvel che per DC, ma è conosciuto tantissimo per il grande Spider-Man 2099.
Sì.
I love Spider-Man 2099.
Sì.
So master, when did you start moving your first steps towards the comics world?
Well, I've been working since 1980. So it's 43 years? 43. So that's a long time. Yeah. But I was always drawing when I was a little kid. Quando bambino, always making little skizzi. So, yeah, making drawings. You just do that as a kid, gradually turn it into a job. So.
Which was the first idea of drawing for you? From which author?
The first comic book I ever saw was actually an issue by Joe Kuber, Enemy Ace, the World War I flying pilot series. And I just thought his brushwork was brilliant. I thought, I want to be that guy when I grow up.
You worked many times for Marvel on mutants-related comics. Can you tell us how, together with Chris Claremont, the idea of the utopian mutant homeland Genosha was born?
I think that's all Chris Claremont. I think Chris had South Africa in mind. I think he wanted to do basically an apartheid story. And I think that's basically where that came from. If it's allegory, it's pretty thin. So, yeah, I think mutants as an oppressed minority is a theme that he's been playing with for a long time. And I think that was elevating it, taking it to a new political level, in a way. So, it's all him.
Which is your favorite character of mutants?
Mutants? Colossus. Colossus, yeah. No, during the 80s, I went to the old Soviet Union. I studied Russian. I actually learned a lot of Russian, and then went to the old city.
Na zdrowie.
But I went to the old Soviet Union twice, and had a real look around just by myself. And when I came back, I was like, we have to do a story about Colossus from the point of view of him being a Russian in the United States. I didn't do it with Chris. I did it with Ann Nocenti. But she that came out in 1988, I think. So.
The story of Colossus is an hard story in Russia. Sufferance.
Yeah, I wanted to take him back to Russia to replace him in that setting, but I couldn't get Marvel to agree.
So the theme of the future is a constant vision in your works.
Yeah, the world of 2099. We took a lot, obviously, from Blade Runner.
Yeah.
We took, with Alan Williamson as the inker. He had an awful lot of experience inking Flash Gordon, so a lot of the buildings are kind of remind me a little bit of Mongo and stuff he used to do for Flash Gordon comic books.
The world of Spider-Man 2099 is the same.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing was the four teams that did the initial 4 books. Got together beforehand, talked about what the world was going to look like and what kinds of technologies we were going to have. And it was decided that Nueva York was going to be super tall buildings, tightly packed together, and it was going to be built over the old New York. It's going to be sort of roofed over by whatever. And I thought, well, okay, so that's going to create a lot of updrafts. There's going to be a lot of rising air between the buildings, and that's where Spider-Man's gliding cape came from. So it's one of the strengths of the costume, I think, is that it's tied pretty closely to the environment that Miguel O'Hara's in. The costume only really works in Nueva York. Take it someplace else, it's like, eh.
And for Fantastic Four 2099?
So that was later. That was a follow, second wave. I don't know. I did one issue.
And also Batman Beyond.
Yeah, well, that was obviously many years later, and DC called up and said, can you do Batman Beyond? I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what's Batman Beyond? So I Google, and the first image that comes up is Spider-Man 2099 and Batman Beyond, both blue and red costumes. I'm like, no, adesso capito.
Okay. Which is the difference between Marvel and DC? I mean, work for one or other.
In my experience, DC was always a bit more corporate. You'd be talking to an editor, and the editor would be perfectly delightful, and you'd be having a great conversation. But you'd understand that everything was going to have to get approved by somebody upstairs.
And for Marvel?
For Marvel, it's more like yeah, that's what we're going to do. Let's go do it.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. Exactly.
Back to Spider-Man 2099. Can you tell us more about the illustration you made for the current edition of Etna Comics?
No, I thought, I looked up Le Ciminiere and I thought,
See?
wow, what a setting, what a building. So,
like Max.
Yeah, right. But smokestacks, the Ciminieres themselves. I'm like, wow. So had to do it, and you have to have Etna in the background, of course. So it all came together. It was a very, very obvious, natural idea.
You enjoyed drawing the Spider-Man and the Ciminiere.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your involvement in the new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
I can now, because the movie's coming out today.
Finally.
I can talk.
Finally.
Yeah, no, the Miguel O'Hara character is obviously very different. He's much broader in the shoulders. He's much more Mesoamerican than Mexican. So, and the reaction in the United States amongst the Hispanic community is just huge. People love the idea that this guy is obviously a Latino character. So that's going to be a real strength, I think. The first movie, Into the Spider-Verse, all the Spider characters come to Brooklyn, where Miles Morales lives. They have an adventure here. This movie, Miles Morales goes to their dimension. So there's six dimensions, one of which is the world of 2099. And to each dimension that Miles Morales goes, he dives into a comic book cover. So I had to do a comic book cover.
Oh.
So I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I think it's going to be in the movie. So we'll see.
So do you like when it shows more muscles?
Well, if you think about it, Miles Morales is all wiry.
Okay.
He looks like a spider, but Miguel O'Hara being broader, the silhouettes are going to be different. So you can even if you can't see the costumes, you know which character is which, regardless of the lighting. And I think that's probably why it's wrong.
Ok. Io non vedo l'ora di andarla a vedere. I want to see.
I want to see.
I want to see now.
Pasera.
You work together with Mike Zeck at the famous miniseries Secret Wars.
See?
Can you tell us about the birth of Spider-Man black costume that the world will later get to know as Venom?
So the mistake, the misapprehension that people have is that I designed the black costume. No. Mike Zeck designed the black costume, but then Jim Shooter said, "Here's this very quick pixel that Mike Zeck did. Can you clean it up? Can you refine it? and I added some things. And so I had a little bit to do with it. That was it.
Do you like Spider-Man Venom or Spider-Man with back costume? Which is your preference?
Well, I generally like I like big characters because you can draw your whole arm.
So Venom.
Yeah. So, and the tongue. People come up and they ask me, "Can you draw Venom for me?" I'm like, "Oh, the guy with the tongue, yeah."
Big is better.
Big is better. Teeth and tongue.
You worked also with John Romita Jr. in the past on Daredevil.
Well, yes, he would work, and then I would work.
Okay. Would you like to work again together for a crossover story with Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099?
That would be interesting. The one thing that John Romita and I really do share,
Okay.
that we have insieme,
Insieme.
is the inker, Al Williamson. Al Williamson did a lot of work over JR and a lot of work over me. And I shouldn't say this. Al always said that he had 3 favorite pencilers, and they were all Italians.
Okay.
So there's John Romita Jr., me, and Mike Mignola.
Mignola.
Leonardi, Mignola. Those are the three favorite artists of Al Williamson.
Is there a character or a story you never got the chance to work with, you'd like to draw maybe together with other artists?
Batman. The one character that I've never, Batman has been in stories that I've drawn. Batgirl, Nightwing, Birds of Prey. But I've never drawn an issue of
Batman.
So,
do you like Michael Keaton as Batman?
I do.
I do.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Yeah.
What are you currently working on? What's your future plans?
So right now, I have a graphic novel.
Oh,
I do. But it's tied up in production. It's finished, but I'm looking for a publisher. The publisher I have is acting strange.
how many pages?
160. 160.
160.
It's superhero, but it's military. It's U.S. Navy.
Like Punisher.
Okay.
With this graphic novel, have you enjoyed your time?
It's 2 years, yeah. Well, I've been thinking about it for 20 years, but it took 2 years to draw it, and it's all like I said, it's all drawn, it's all colored. I have the dialogue. All I need is a publisher.
All the day drawing. Drawing. Ok. Thank you Master for your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Ringraziamo il grande Rick Leonardi per il suo tempo, per questa bellissima intervista. Grazie maestro.
Okay.